I now call this regular meeting of Board of Education to order at 7:01 p.m. Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson,
Present.
Mr. Schubert,
Here.
Ms. McCall, Ms. Bennett,
Here.
Mr. Carpenter,
Here.
Ms. Haley,
Here.
Ms. Stanford.
Here.
With 6 present, 1 absent, we have a quorum.
We will now take a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. As we start each board meeting, please note the mission of Rockford Public Schools is to collaboratively engage all students in an equitable first-class education for a changing world. I want to thank Ms. Kim Pedersen, who was working behind the scenes to produce the board's broadcast via YouTube live stream and Comcast Channel 20. I also wish to welcome Superintendent Student Advisory Representative Trevante Green from Auburn High School. This week is designated as Principal Appreciation Week. As such, it is the board's honor to publicly recognize the work our principals do to help our students to strive for success daily. Thank you very much. It is a sacrifice to lead. Was there a document? I thought there was a document. It is no doubt a great task to lead local schools, specifically when you have significant challenges and areas of opportunity. And you are put in a position to have to make judgment calls every day that's in the best interest of our students. So we want to thank each of our principals for the work that you do and the team building that is expected of you and figuring out what it really takes for our schools to be successful. So no doubt it is a never-ending challenge to do so. And we want you to know that your labor have not gone unnoticed. So on behalf of the board, we definitely appreciate your efforts in striving to help our students be academically successful. Thank you again. We are now on to the petition communication portion of our meeting, where we invite the public to make comments. The board will not respond to comments at this time. If it is appropriate, you will be contacted in a timely manner by staff. Each speaker will be allowed no more than 3 minutes to address the board. It is not appropriate to address individual board members or individual administrators or discuss matters that will otherwise be confidential in such open meetings. If you look to your left, you'll see 2 digital clocks. One shows the total time allotted for public comments, and one shows the total time for each speaker. We thank you for your interest and for your cooperation with these guidelines. And the public speakers will go in such order. Mr. Ricky Eubanks, Mr. John Tack Bradley, We appreciate your patience. We'll have it resolved shortly. We know. Just right out.
Test, test.
Testing. Wait, you can start in a minute. Okay. You know, I ain't been here. I've been missing a few board meetings because y'all went down to one day a week, one day a month, so that kind of threw me off. So, but today I'm here now. First of all, what the question you guys already know, y'all getting a lot of blowback in the community, the black community, about trying to hire those cops. Well, people connect with those cops. You need to understand, anytime you go, when it comes to black people in the police, is always, hey, we don't want to hear about that. So like I said, what I suggest y'all do is y'all hire one of them other staff in the school district already, and then one of those cops. And that way you split the difference, say, we'll be trying. But just getting those two people from the police department, it seems like y'all pushing a police agenda. So that's one thing. So the big question now is like, how does this school district go about rebuilding trust within the community? What are you doing to rebuild trust in the community? I'll give you a couple things you can do. And where it starts at, it starts with operations. Some of y'all know about operations, right? But you don't do a good job of it. And you also know about communications. It's not enough communication. Y'all got a communication department, but they don't communicate nothing worthwhile listening to. Okay. And now what I'm going to tell this new board here, the biggest mistake that all these boards have made in the past is you got too close to this administration. You cannot be close to these guys and expect these guys to follow your directions because you want to be buddy-buddy with them. No, you they boss. You said we want this done. If you can't get it done, we're willing to get somebody that's in those jobs to get it done. Now, my main thrust from going forward here is going to be, again, integrating those 2 Thurgood Marshall schools. I don't know why we got 4 black school board members and nobody's concerned about what's the problem with integrating those 2 schools. Here we go. It's 492 students at one of those schools over there. 65.9% are white, 13% Asian, 8.7% Hispanic, 6% mixed race. Then when it comes to blacks, it's only 4.9%. Now, y'all should be like saying, wait a minute now, how can this school district be 31% black, but when it comes to those 2 schools over there, it's only 4.9%? Are these white kids that's so much smarter than these black kids, or is something else going on? We need to figure that out. Now, we try to do some stuff in the summertime and help with this, but you only increase those black numbers by 2 students. Now, we did request the documentation going back 4 years on those schools to try to figure out, is this just been a pattern? When we get that data, it's going to show that over the years, that number has stayed at 20 black students at that middle school over there going back years. Now, like I said, if they can't change now, it's never going to change.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. I want to give my kudos to the superintendent. But most of all, I'm seeing one of my young guys sitting behind here, and what have you, that came up under me when he was a little shorty. So to see you sitting back there, kudos. I am definitely going to be talking about you when I go back to the hood and talking about Dr. Reed. But on a serious note, at Lewis Lemon School, a couple of weeks ago, we had an incident. I mentioned it to the chief of police and the chief of the fire department. That is not acceptable. We had a pit bull to come on the ground. He bit the assistant principal. The other assistant principal ran and pulled the pit bull off by, hitting him in the nuts, and held the pit bull for over almost 10 minutes. 10 minutes was too long of a time to hold the pit bull down. When I said something to the police officer at West Gateway Coalition meeting, he blew me off and said, well, that was a dog. bump that, whether it was a dog or a human being. If that dog had got loose from that system principle, he would have wound up biting a bunch of them kids. Y'all would have had a bunch of parents coming down here on y'all throat. The chief of police and the chief of the fire department said they're going to look at a better response. I'm looking at the school, would y'all team up with them? Look at a better response. Nor animal nor human being should not take them more than 5 minutes to get to their school when it's an incident. The other thing I'm dealing with, I got one youth that got suspended today because she pulled the teacher hair. Got another youth that can't come to school because their mom don't want to give her $10 a week to transport her to school, but yet they can buy weed and they got a male living in the household with them. That's unacceptable. I'm still working on hearing from Dr. Reed that having that meeting about the RPS 205 transportation grant. I'm in the process of ascertaining the church van. Right now, the church van costs $30,000. We able to, he only charging us $5,000. Right now, we have raised $3,600. The Winnebago County Board is going to give us $500 in increments. The chairman is giving us $200. Pastor Maurice West is giving us $100. Another church is giving us $500. We got several churches that's funding us to get to see a church van. But I'm going to need more than just a church van, besides my van, to transport our kids to Kennedy, West, Lewis Linden School. You already know all the schools that I'm talking about, because we have a high absentee rate. We have a high suspension rate among our African-American youth, and I can't do this by myself. I need your help with the board members, because right now, the money I'm spending, my Social Security money is coming out of my pocket. But what I want to say before my minutes is up, 2 families of kids that was locked up, they told their mom to get Brother John the $50 on their book, not to put it on their books. And I cherish receiving that money coming from the people in the prison system.
So your time is
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I know you're coming up here to get this mic. I got you.
Miss Nina Gianangeli. Chili.
Good evening. My name is Nina Gianangeli. I'm a Rockford resident, an educator in a neighboring district, and a member of the Education Committee of Eliminate Racism 815. Our mission is to be passionate advocates of equity-driven policies and practices in the Rockford Public Schools so that all students will be prepared for social and academic success. Since the summit on Imagining Rockford Without Racism in May, our committee decided that we wanted to shift our focus toward advocating for the reading achievement of 3rd graders within RPS 205. As you may know, and as cited in research by Lensick, George, Smith-Gall, and Gwynn in 2010, quote, students who are not reading at grade level by 3rd grade begin having difficulty comprehending the written material that is a central part of the educational process in the grades that follow. Meeting increased educational demands becomes more difficult for students who struggle to read, end quote. According to the most recent 2022 data the district provided with our committee with, while 33% of white RPS students demonstrate proficiency, only 13% of Hispanic and Latinx students, and only 9% of Black and African American students demonstrate reading proficiency in 3rd grade. This is not because one group of students is more capable than another. It is our stance that this results from historic and systemic racism in our community. Our committee is currently working to understand the nuances of these discrepancies. If there's any information that the board, RPS staff, or the community as a whole believes will help our committee better understand how these discrepancies came to fruition, we are eager to study and learn from what our community has to say about this issue. We want to then use that information to focus advocating for curriculum, academic support, and school environments needed to support our 3rd graders, especially our 3rd graders of color, in advancing their reading proficiency. Our question for the board this evening is, what is the sense that you have about the root causes of discrepancies in literacy amongst 3rd graders in our district? Hopefully from there, we can discuss a vision where we can address the root causes. Thank you for your attention on this matter. Good evening.
Thank you very much. At this time, unfortunately, I need to pause and get a motion for a 10-minute recess. If the board can please meet me in the back. Can I get a motion for recess?
Are you wanting to
reconvene.
But you said meet you in the back.
Yes.
Wanting a closed session item?
Well, we have to,
Oh, just recess.
correct.
Okay.
Might get a second, a motion and a second.
Second.
Thank you. To the public, we certainly appreciate your patience. We'll return momentarily. Again, I certainly thank you for your patience. We'll reconvene shortly by 7:25. I appreciate your patience. It is now 7:25. I'll take a motion in a second to reconvene an open meeting. Please use your mic.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye. Thank you very much. I certainly, again, appreciate your patience. There was just a minor internal hiccup that we quickly got resolved. I certainly appreciate your patience. And as board president, I take full responsibility for the pause. But again, I thank you for your patience. Items 4A through 4B are board policies reviewed at the committee of the whole meeting. Is there a motion and a second to approve item 4A, the revision of board policy 7.60? May I have a motion and a second?
So moved. Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Bennett,
No.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
No.
Mr. Schubert.
Yes.
The motion passes with 4 yeses, 2 noes, 1 absent.
Is there a motion and a second to approve item 4B, the revision of board policy 7.270?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Schubert,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Item 4C is the IASB resolution for the year's delegate assembly. Generally, as board president, I would serve as the board's delegate and cast a vote on the resolutions at the upcoming tri-conference. In order to cast this vote, we need to ensure there is a consensus of the board. However, due to the internal challenge, this is what we're going to do. One, I want other board members to have an opportunity in the tri-conference. So any board members that are interested in being a delegate, please email me as soon as possible. We will also do something a little different and make sure that there is an alternate. So anyone that is interested in being an alternate, please email me as soon as possible. So being that you've had an opportunity to review the resolutions, email Lori what you would like to vote on in the tri-conference, and we will make sure that that information is then provided to the delegate and the alternate. Are there any questions regarding the resolutions or the General Assembly? That's where the voting will take place. If you don't have any questions now and it comes up later, do feel free to shoot Lori and I an email. Thank you. We are now on to the consent portion of our meeting, which includes items previewed by the board committee chairs during the committee of the whole meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items listed in paragraph 5, Performance and Monitoring Committee?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Are there any items board members would like pulled for a separate consideration? Excuse me. Mrs. Bennett?
I just have a question on MNOP and Q.
MNOP and Q. You just want a discussion. So the consent, no, that's not a closed consent item. Okay,
Can somebody just tell me, I apologize, I wasn't at the committee of the whole, but can somebody just tell me why they're listed as recurring contracts?
Yeah, Ms. Bennett, these are contracts that we have with these architects on a number basis. So this is a group of architects that we've had pre-approved to work with, and on occasions when we have projects and a project is over 50K, we bring that to the board for approval.
So they don't have to be put out for bid? They're like in a group of people that are somehow already approved, is that?
Correct, these architects are already approved.
Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you. And we approved those contracts with those architects earlier this year, I think. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
We just to add a little bit more context, we did go through a request for qualifications process.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
On to the items for Planning Committee. May I have a motion and a second to approve the items listed in paragraph 6? Planning Committee.
So moved.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Are there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Now to the items of Governance Committee. May I have a motion and a second to approve items listed in paragraph 7?
So moved.
Second.
Are there any consent items from paragraph 7 Governance Committee that the board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Please call the roll.
Ms. Pearson?
Yes.
Mr. Schubert?
Yes.
Ms. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yes.
Ms. Haley?
Yes.
Ms. Stanford?
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
Thank you. We are now on to the closed session and consent agenda, including residency resolution, B, appointment of Anika McGee as 10-month assistant principal assigned to Auburn High School, appointment of Robert Walton as 10-month assistant principal assigned to Risa Middle School, which is C, D, appointment of Terrence Brown as 12-month Special Education Program Administrator assigned to the Administration Building. E, appointment of Melissa Wolf as 12-month Fine Arts Director assigned to the Administration Building. F, HR Organizational Report. Closed session consent items, student discipline, suspension, appeals, and expulsion. H001X 24 through H002X 24 and H005X 24 and H007X 24. Sure. Sure. H001X 24, the expulsion is held in advance, contingent upon the expulsion in advance agreement for remainder of 23-24 school year through the first semester of 24-25 school year, which can be terminated early based on the conditions set for in the EIA. H002X24, expelled for the remainder of 23-24 school year through first semester of 24-25 school year. H003X24, expelled for the remainder of 23-24 school year. H005X24, the expulsion is held in advance, contingent upon expulsion in the first semester, contingent upon the expulsion in advance agreement for the remainder of 23-24 school year, the first semester of 24-25 school year, which can be terminated early based on the conditions set forth in the EIA. H00724, the expulsion is held in advance, contingent upon the expulsion in advance agreement for the remainder of 23-24 school year through the first semester of the 24-25 school year. Closed session consent items, student discipline EIAs, A through T, D001 24, H004 24, H006 24, H008 24, H009 24, P003 24, P004 24, P005 24, P006 24, P007 24, P008 24, P009 24, P0010 24, P0011 24, P0013 24, P0013 24, P0014 24, P0015 24, P0016 24, P0017 24. Are there any closed session consent items that the board members wish to have pulled for separate consideration? Ms. Bennett?
For section D, can I please have A and R? 10A and 10R. And they can be pulled together. Pulled separate, but together.
Can we have a second, or a motion and a second for items not pulled?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Schubert,
Yes.
Ms. Bennett,
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson.
Yes.
The motion passes with 6 yeses, 1 absent.
May I please have a motion and a second for D, A, and R?
So moved.
Second. So I don't need
There's
just A and R.
just A and R, correction. 10A and R. So 10A and R have been pulled. May I have a motion and a second? We have had a motion and a second. I do apologize. Please call the roll.
Ms. Bennett,
Abstain.
Mr. Carpenter,
Yes.
Ms. Haley,
Yes.
Ms. Stanford,
Yes.
Ms. Pearson,
Yes.
Mr. Schubert.
Yes.
The motion passes with 5 yeses, 1 abstain, 1 absent.
Next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Board President Pearson, and it is my honor to introduce our SSAC representative, Superintendent Student Advisory Council representative for the month of October, Trevante Green. He is a first-year member of the SSAC and was already elected by his peers to be the treasurer. He's been a joy to work with, and I want to turn the floor over to Trevante to share his perspective as an RPS student and what he's had the opportunity to connect with from tonight's board meeting. Trevante, the floor is yours, and thank you for being here this evening.
Okay, no one saw that. Hello. Okay, there I go. Thank you. Okay, so I had missed the committee of the whole meeting for a health emergency, but I'm here now. So yeah, I was tasked with thinking of something that has meant a lot to me or currently means a lot to me based upon the board, 205, and I've been in 205 my whole life. So I've been through a lot of changes, like, like with the schools and the curriculum. I'm sorry, I have a speech impediment. And my answer is the many educational field trips and groups that I assume every school has this, but I can't speak for every school because I'm only an Auburn student. But the many educational outreach field trips Auburn High School has, because like I was talking to Dr. Jarrett, the superintendent, education comes in 2 parts, through experience and through school, and you need both to go out into the world. And Auburn High School does a really good job of equipping you with such needed aspects, and honestly, I love it, Also, too, throughout the years, the education instilled in me by the District 205 has been the greatest gift of all. There you go.
Thank you so much, Trevante, and you've been a great addition to our SSAC. And I promise you, those Trevante's thoughts are just so appreciated. He's been a great spark to our team. So thank you, Trevante, and I hope we have a great Academy Expo tomorrow. Speaking of those experiential, I do want to give a shout out to our college and career readiness team and Academy coaches. We are getting ready to have thousands of freshmen get a really robust career readiness experience tomorrow, and our SSAC are going to serve as VIP tour guides. So if you get a chance to swing out to the Academy Expo, you may have some Trevante or one of our other SSAC members there to give you a tour. So thank you for serving in this role, Trevante. We appreciate you very much. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Jarrett. We are now on the last agenda item. Board members have any action steps, other business, new business, or agenda recommendations, or any other matters to discuss? Any board member comments? Ms. Stanford?
I just want to thank all of the board members and cabinet members for participating in our retreat. that we had, and going along with us and all of our shenanigans. And I hope it was productive and everyone enjoyed it as much as I did. So thanks, everyone.
Anyone else?
I've been on my touring of my sub-district, thanks to Dr. Gallagher, setting all of those up for me and arranging schedules. I have enjoyed that very much. Today I went to Montessori and I joked, but I was serious that I didn't want to go back to work. I was just going to hang out at Montessori all day. But no, I've really enjoyed, it's included a tour, one-page fact sheet, so different information that's very specific to the school and how they're utilizing their funding, and just really good conversations, a lot of transparency with different individuals from the buildings, and it's been very helpful to me, so I really enjoyed it. I have one left, Spring Creek.
Anyone else? Mrs. Haley.
I want to say that I had the opportunity, well, I was invited to donuts at Swan Hillman last Friday, I believe it was. Early morning, 6:30 a.m., but those little kids were up, bright and bushy-tailed, ready to get going, and I really appreciate the welcome I got from the staff, and the principal is so engaging with the students. It's just amazing. So we talk about Principals Week or month, is it week or month? Regardless, it should be month. She was amazing with those students, and each school I've been with in the elementary area, they're just amazing with those kids. And it takes a lot of energy to be an elementary school principal. So I haven't been to any early mornings with the middle schools yet, but I plan to do some of those events that they're having as well.
Anyone else? Well, I certainly appreciate the board engagement. I want to recognize Whitehead for an outstanding family night. It was a very engaging, and they had a huge turnout that they were very pleased with, and from food trucks and vendors, and just a lot of community connection, and that was wonderful to experience. And I really appreciate the board members being present and visiting the schools and having, conversation with community members is very much appreciated. To the internal, external stakeholder chair and co-chair, an outstanding, they deserve a round of applause from the board. I understand that many of the community members weren't there, but it was absolutely fantastic. You all did an outstanding job. For those who have anxiety regarding other board retreats, just to let you know, we can't not compare. So take the stress off yourself and relax, and just move forward with what you have. We certainly appreciate it. I've already sent a notice. Please don't expect anything like that for the governance. That will not happen to that degree. So again, thank you so much, Mrs. Stanford and Mrs. Bennett, for an awesome job. We appreciate that. Again, I want to apologize. I can never apologize enough. One thing about leadership, leaders take responsibility no matter what. And so I certainly appreciate your patience while we had that brief break. I certainly appreciate that. And to board members, I appreciate you shifting. And that's it for tonight. If there's no further items, I will take a motion in a second to be adjourned.
So moved.
Second.
Have a good night.